Nashville Hot Chicken was made famous by Prince's Hot Chicken and Hattie B's, so if you're ever in Music City, I highly suggest you try at least one of them. This dish is inspired by that chicken, minus the chicken. The folks at Hattie B's were nice enough to let me in on a few of their secrets, so let's get started. For the fry, start with 1 cup of flour, a nice pinch of salt, and about 2 teaspoons or so of paprika. You can use regular or smoked here. Add less and more depending on your preference of heat. For the wet ingredients, we're going to start with a 1/4 cup of milk, 2 eggs, a tablespoon of your favorite hot sauce. I use Louisiana and did probably closer to 2 tablespoons, but again, you can adjust according to your preference. Mix all of this up and then we're going to set this aside. Now, what makes Nashville Hot so famous? Well, right after frying your chicken, or in this case our crabs, take a nice hot bath in some chili oil or butter. Start with 1 stick of butter and get it melted over medium heat. So you could save yourself the hassle and buy Spiceology's Nashville Hot Rub, which is already seasoned to perfection and is a go-to for myself, or you can make your own from scratch. That would look like 3 tablespoons of cayenne pepper, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, half a teaspoon of paprika, and a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and a pinch of salt, of course. Mix it all together and then mix that into the hot butter and reserve that to the side while it's warm for later on. Now, Mr. Krabs. This is a soft-shell crab. If you're wondering why it looks so close to a blue claw crab, that's because it is a blue claw crab. You see, soft-shell crabs aren't so much a type of crab as they are a time of crab. Stay with me here. All crabs molt, kind of like reptiles. But instead of shedding their skin, they migrate to the marshes and warmer waters where their shell softens and has time to grow for a few weeks. So in the beginning of spring, these guys hang out in the marshes where there's less predators, so they have the time to safely grow. When they put on some extra pounds and they're ready to head back into the cold waters, they migrate back, their shell firms up due to that coldness, and they're safe again to be crabs and do crab-like things. Yes, the entire crab is edible at this point. We just need to do some mild cleaning. So as you can see here underneath the wings, lift them up and remove the lungs with a scissor. These can get quite chewy as it cooks. I also like to just trim their face. I go just for their mouth and their jaws, but you could trim behind the eyes as well. It's a preference. You could do whatever you'd like. To dredge the crabs, we're going to dip once in the dry, shaking off any excess, and then into the wet, and then back into the dry, but ensuring as much wet has dripped off as possible. We don't want anything clumping up our flour mix. We have enough flour and egg mix here, by the way, to last us for about 4 crabs. Now, I'm using canola oil here, but you can use vegetable if you'd like. Bring it up to 375 degrees, and then you can pop your crab in. Make sure you put her in away from you to avoid any splatter. Let this hang for about 4 minutes or so, making sure the entire crab is submerged and getting crispy. Make sure you stand back as it's frying because there's a lot of excess moisture inside of this crab, so some popping is expected. Don't be scared or startled if this starts spitting at you. Also, be careful on how high you fill your oil and take into consideration the volume increase of adding that crab. As everything out of the fryer, give it a nice season of salt. Make sure your butter hasn't solidified and is still fluid. Look at this perfect crispy crab. You nailed it, buddy. This looks incredible here. Then we're going to dip or baste our crab in our butter sauce. Just make sure that this is everywhere. If you can't dip it and have a big enough vessel or enough butter to do so, just make sure it is evenly doused in your sauce. We're going to classically plate this on a slice of white bread, finish with some sauce, and garnish, of course, with some homemade pickles. And there we have it. The beloved Nashville hot soft-shell crab. A beer here would almost be a must. But listen, if you've never had Nashville hot chicken, this is a good intro if you're into soft-shell crab. If you're not into soft-shell crab, you could make this exact recipe using chicken. We'll do a fried chicken video over the summer, I'm sure of it. But we also have some pretty cool soft-shell crab vids coming at you in the next few weeks, so stay tuned for those. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and share it to everyone you know. I'm sure your mom will love this recipe. Happy Friday, guys. Stay hungry.